Here we go. We're on. All right, welcome here. September bridge update. I'm Jay Owens, city engineer, here with Mark Anderson, the MnDOT project manager for the Red Wing Bridge project. And we've had a few different things happen since our last update. Some changes. Maybe you can go over the changes to some of the traffic alignment on the Wisconsin side and why that was done and what's going on over there. And then kind of what's going on in the main span with the tubs in place. We've started the pours now, and it looks like we've got quite a schedule of pours coming up in the next 3 weeks, according to this morning's meeting. So,
right.
You can go over that a little bit, Mark?
Sure. So on the Wisconsin side, the contractor built the bypass, which shifts traffic to the east to allow the contractor to finish the reconstruction of the box culvert at Mud Lake.
Okay.
So they moved traffic over the new portion that was installed last year, and now they're working on the removal of the last half of the old box culvert. And once they get that removed, they'll install the new box culvert.
And what's the installation procedure for is that a cast in place box culvert?
No, it'll be sections.
There are sections in there? Okay. I imagine then there's maybe some pouring with some head wall stuff or things like that, or does that all come precast?
Usually it comes all precast and everything's set in there.
Okay, but there's quite an operation to get the old one out
right.
in preparation to get the new box put back in.
Excavation and dewatering and removal of the old box, basically beating it into pieces and hauling it out.
Okay. Good. So what? When does it anticipated that work will be done with the box culvert?
They're hoping to set sections maybe next week, maybe the week after. So after they set the sections, then they have to backfill over the top of it and get the grade back up and everything. So it'll be probably 3 weeks, I would guess, before they're
3 weeks.
done
Okay.
there. And with the tub girders.
Yeah, with the tub girder pours, that was something
set.
Yep.
So now they've done the first pour, which is basically the center of span 2. So that's the first one to go.
So span 2 being the main span right across the main channel.
Kind of the middle of that. They don't pour over the piers yet. That'll be later.
Okay.
So I think tomorrow's pour is the north abutment section.
On the tub girders, more on the Wisconsin side.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I shouldn't say north. At Pier 3.
Okay.
And then there'll be a pour Friday. And that should be at the Minnesota abutment, so it'll be that stretch there. And then it'll be 2 more pours after that, and they are, I believe, 2 weeks out from now. So.
Okay, so a lot of getting that deck placed, and they pour that just to let people know that's all over all 3 tub girders, right? The width wise.
Right.
So when they have these sections, it's not sections over a tub girder; it's all 3 tub girders.
It's all 3 wide, so you've got the main lanes and the path are all poured at once.
All poured at once with the traffic lanes and the trail.
Right.
So okay, good. What about updates on the Minnesota side, which it seems like the last few months have been all the same work, retaining wall work, right?
Right, and for the most part, that's done now.
Okay.
Retaining walls are all poured. Contractor has done some backfilling, so I was able to walk from 3rd Street all the way up to the south abutment today.
Okay.
So
our next tour, we may be able to get, Patty, we might be able to get a little further along. I know there was a lot of work. We had to kind of turn around before we could get to the main crossing, but now that's kind of put in place. So, and as long as we're mentioning that, what was the date? Did we come up with a date for the?
September 17th.
Okay, September 17th. Again, meet at the 3rd Street, the 3rd Street lot, 3rd and Plum, and at 11 o'clock, right? And the sign up is at the chamber. So September 17th for another bridge tour. We'll be able to go a little further, take a look at a few things closer to the actual crossing,
right.
River crossing. Good. So with that retaining walls in place, now you're like you said, they've started some backfill. You can only backfill so far before you have to let more cure, or what's the?
No, what they've done is they've backfilled so far up to basically the base of the super sand.
Okay.
So now they're going to come in and put in the storm sewer before they bring in the super sand and the aggregate base.
Get their piping in, and then
Right.
okay.
Yep.
So that's why it's a kind of a staged kind of backfilling operation, but. Pretty soon we'll actually just see roadway there. It's going to, with the slip ramp coming down, and yeah.
Yep. And then on the north side, in the Wisconsin side, we've given permission to remove the surcharge. So
Okay.
they started removing all that material over there. So they're taking that and switching it from the north fill area over to 825th Street on the east side, so.
Okay, so
So
when
we're
you
getting-
say that permission for the surcharge, that's all that extra 12 foot of material that was
Right.
sitting on the main road grade?
Right.
And it's slowly been pushing the subsoils?
Settlement out of it,
Taking
hopefully.
the settlement out of those soft soils
Right.
where the main road is gonna be when we're all done, so. Yeah, with that permissions to remove that, then that probably just progresses right into road building here for the fall.
Eventually, right. With taking that surcharge off, we've asked the contractor to wait a week and see if any of that material, how it reacts, if it rebounds or what happens to
Could
it.
actually take it off and then
Yep,
it
it
pumps
may
back up a little
come
bit.
out, right.
Okay,
So
all right, and then.
sit a week and then we'll take some more shots over there to see if, like I said, if it does come up or not, if it stays where it is.
Okay. And and what happens, I know the wick drains, they just stay in place? Is that, I mean, there was, 3,000 wick drains placed over there that take the fluids out while you're pushing down?
I guess I'm not sure, that was that was when Terry and Eric
Okay.
were before my time.
All right.
I know there's wick drains, I couldn't tell you.
There's a lot of them, I know that. There's a lot of wick drains on that side for that surcharge area, so, good. And then I know the underground pipe contractor's coming back next week to start on what you talked about, storm sewer work.
Right, he'll start on the south side over between, I believe, the Highway 61 bridge and the bridge over Bluff Street. Work there, and then I believe he's going to switch and go into Wisconsin and work on that north abutment area, the north
Okay.
surcharge, where the surcharge was.
And then maybe peck off some of the small punch list items that we have on our sanitary sewer system. There's some
I hope
things
so.
to fix up, and yeah, nothing major, just some small items to do there. So a lot of work here
Yeah, I believe
this
there's a
fall.
water valve they want to get.
And a water valve on our water system as well. So yeah, with that, I'll maybe think of some more questions. But you got some pictures to
Okay,
show of this?
There's questions here. Do you want to?
Yeah. Do we have any questions right now? Patty, you've got anything that, no? Okay.
It's just going smooth.
Yeah, we've worked, we've kept Third Street closed there between Potter and Plum, and we've basically just worked with the businesses along there and that are impacted to allow that to kind of stay closed so the other construction can go on. We've got a lot more than just the bridge going on right in that area. Excel is in there replacing gas lines down the alleys. Red Wing Shoe is rebuilding their parking lot, soon to start on the Marie's parking lot, so the contractor's in there doing that. Red Wing Shoe also had a contractor in there doing work on their generator. Just a lot of activity right in that small little area right there. But I imagine once we get paving for the slip ramp and finish the paving off down 3rd Street, we'll get that all opened back up and have that connection to Potter put back in place. So, but Mark, with that, do you want to maybe get some photos here? We'll
Sure.
let you kind of explain there, and they can zoom in on those.
So this is the corner of 3rd and Potter, looking up the slip ramp. As you can see, the fill is up fairly high. It's almost to the bottom, or to the bottom of the curb and gutter and that. So sidewalks are finished through there, so it's a good start.
So that'll be the nice connection that will bring you down along and get you down to Bluff Street. So we'll have that connection back in place. That goes past the old Coca-Cola building that we now own. So we'll turn the corner and hook into the Bluff Street sidewalk right there.
And this is a picture of the retaining wall that is on the backside of the Red Wing Shoe parking lot.
So
So you can see the grading's completed in there and the retaining wall's done and getting work done.
I think, Patty, the last time we went on a bridge tour, we stood up there and watched them. They were forming some of that retaining wall and getting it ready to pour on the last tour that we had. And that, we're basically in the Red Wing Shoe parking lot right there, correct, Mark?
Right.
Yep.
Picture of the fill as we're walking up to the bridge over Highway 61. As you can see, like I said, the retaining walls are done and the fill is up to the base of the super sand.
So starting to look like a road connection.
Yep. Contractor is also working on all the barrier throughout the project wherever the walls are up. You can see here's a picture of the barrier along the button hook. So getting there. This is up on the River Bridge. This is, I believe this will be This must be pour 5, or no, this is 3. Sorry.
Or 3, so that you're looking at all the stainless steel,
So we have the
correct?
stainless steel rebar being laid out, and then you have the shear studs along with all the decking.
And the wood decking that you see there, that all gets, those forms get stripped off after everything is
That'll all
cured
get
out.
removed after the concrete is cured.
Okay.
Contractor removing the surcharge over on the Wisconsin side.
Go back one picture there, Mark, if you
Okay.
could. I did have questions in our department. They were asking about how the slab, the concrete slab connects to the tub girders, and that's those studs that you see sticking straight up. They're called
Right, those shear studs are welded on. and
onto the
that-
top flange of the tub girders themselves.
Right. Yep, and then that extends up into the concrete haunch or
Yep,
over the beams.
that's what ties it down. Are those shear studs then tied to the cross rebar that you see crossing them, or are they just laying
I think they're just laying up against it.
next to it? Okay.
Yep. As I said, surcharge being removed. Another picture. Big trucks, big toys. This is from the first piece of the deck pour that was done, I believe, 2 weeks ago now.
That's number 1 there then.
Right, this is the pour 1.
Kind of right over the center of
Over
the
the
span,
river.
right over the
Yep.
middle of the river there. But look at the amount of rebar in there.
Right, and
You
then
don't even really need deck. We could just drive on the rebar, I think, couldn't we?
close, yeah. And you can see the bid well, the machine that does the finishing of the concrete as and it progresses as the concrete is placed. And then something that's a little unusual is they call this the line dragon because their pump wouldn't reach. It pumps through this little line dragon or this little, it's almost like a little four-wheeler.
Okay.
That helps and moves around on the rebar, and they can move the concrete around with that.
Okay. And with that pour, the concrete trucks came in through Levy Park and then
I believe so,
pumped
right.
from there and then pumped up to, they worked their way to get to this one.
Right.
And then pumped it
This is just kind
across.
of more of like a little transfer. I don't believe it has a pump in it.
Okay.
It just pumps through it.
Pumps through it, okay. What was the amount of yardage that was poured with that pour?
I believe this one was around 600 yards.
Okay.
I'm not sure. Excuse me.
I know a lot of trucks came through our project that we have down on Levy to get the concrete up to here, so, yeah.
Another kind of the same shot, just a little wider perspective, showing the concrete being placed
See the Eisenhower Bridge on the
on the right side.
right side there?
And then we'll see if this works. This is a movie, so we'll see. Just a little bit of that line dragon moving around.
Just back and forth to
Yep.
spread out the concrete.
Right. And that's it.
Okay. Anything else any questions that you got in the audience here? Otherwise, I got a few notes to talk about some other stuff going around. I think I heard some murmurings in the audience about it. Seems like every intersection is tore up in town, and it feels like that, that's for sure. We, with our this is a city project, with our large overlay project this year, we are doing all the ped ramps. So what you see tore up on East and West Avenue, and we were out on Maple and around the high school, and we've got more streets to do. That's driven by us repaving. So the first phase is to come in and get the ped ramps up to ADA standards. That's a federal requirement. And then the next step is to actually mill and overlay, put new blacktop down on those same streets that you see those ramps being done. 7th Street up by McSorley. We're doing that out to Centennial. So there is a lot of impact, major impact at this point to walking traffic, because every corner seems like. We're trying to do it so if you look at East Avenue, one side we don't let them touch, but they do the other side, same on West. So when we had the post office corner tore up, we didn't tear up the other side. Still a super inconvenience to people walking in the downtown area, but they're required and they are nice when they get done. As Patty, you know, it's the same thing we have on Main Street, the ramps that are much more accessible for the ADA requirements. So that's what that work is going on. Also, we have work at, today, the concrete is getting poured at the crossing near Josephson's across Bush Street. That's closed. As we get the concrete in, we're pouring that high early, so the plan is to get all that in today with the Excel gas main project and then open that up by the weekend again. So we're pouring it high early concrete so we can get traffic back on that. Pedestrian traffic, however, we will open back up today. It'll be cured enough that we can open the sidewalk across the alleys back up. So that's that work in the downtown area, and then our residential recon, we're still working up around Kingman and Samford, and looking at final pavement on McSorley in the next couple weeks. So a lot of city projects going on at the same time with the bridge project, at the same time with our Levy Park project down along the new retaining wall and where the riverboats dock. So with that, yeah, we got a question, all right?
Just wondering whether you've got two questions.
Yep.
An estimate as to when traffic actually might pass on the new bridge?
Good, that was one of the questions I had for Mark. So that's asking, when are we gonna actually planning to open the new bridge and have the new traffic on the new alignment?
It looks, if everything goes well, it looks like late October, or towards the end of October.
That's
The question is, are we nearing a point when you'd be setting a date for a dedication?
Well, I
missed the
actually,
last meeting.
yeah, I got a call today, right before this meeting actually, from Mike Doherty in your PR office at MnDOT, and I told him I'd be meeting with you, and I thought Patty would be here, so we should discuss that, thinking we want to set a date, we want to have kind of that ribbon cutting date set, because it allows others that, I think the governor was been talked about, Mike was getting an invite out. It allows others to get it scheduled and get it on their calendar. The thing about setting a date, it's great to have the date, but we're still relying on good construction weather. And as of right now, we've had that,
Right.
but you just never know. But I think we need to kind of think through setting that date and get that on there, and then just shoot for that for the invites and so forth. So maybe we'll discuss that a little. So no date is set yet, but we want to do that.
The likelihood would be toward the end of the year then, or later, right?
Or I think we were kind of thinking November, was what, first part of November.
That's it.
Yeah.
What Mike had said.
Yeah, we were
A
thinking,
while back though. but
Yep.
yeah.
so we're kind of thinking first 2 weeks of November.
The traffic, you said, would be late October?
Yep, where we,
I mean, the bridge should be ready by late October.
yeah,
The dedication would be in.
yeah. Well, yeah, if you're talking dedication, they sometimes do that, and so the true end of the project is next year, correct?
Correct.
So the dedication doesn't have to coincide with that kind of, Patty, kind of where we can do a ribbon cutting or something like that. That's a smaller scale, so maybe the dedication would be later. We got to think through, are we going to have kind of two type of celebrations? One more just a ribbon cut and say, here we go, the traffic's now on the bridge. Like what we did with the Main Street project, I think we closed the road down just for like a couple minutes and had a hard hat toss, right? Kind of thing, and then opened it back up. We did that with a few police cars. So we may do something more like that, and then also a more formal dedication. So, and that would be later, that for sure. Yep, and maybe even into next year for the bigger dedication because there's still quite a bit of work next year on 61 underneath as part of the project. There's the removal of the Eisenhower Bridge, so you got to think through how we want to structure our celebrations on this project. So,
And who actually will set that, if there is a more formal dedication? Who will set that?
it looks like through our MnDOT's PR, Mike Doherty at MnDOT, working with Patty at the Chamber and the City of Red Wing. Yeah.
And we'll coordinate with WisDOT as well.
And coordinate with the Wisconsin DOT, because they actually had some representatives over when we did the groundbreaking, and when we had that in Levy Park, when the mayor speaking, Minnesota representatives and Wisconsin representatives. So they would coordinate that together. Yep.
The reason I ask is I have been in contact with Ann Eisenhower, who's Dwight Eisenhower's granddaughter.
Okay.
And she hasn't said no. I've said that if she would come, or another family member would come to a dedication, I'm sure that that would be a good thing to have happen. So that's why
Yep.
I'm trying to give her some idea.
Okay.
So as that date kind of gets a little bit more solidified, kind of keep me in mind, I'd appreciate it.
I will, for sure. We'll get a hold of you. I remember I had notes on that too in my on my project file that you had called about. That might be an opportunity. I think that's a real neat opportunity to have a Eisenhower family member that willing to be part of a dedication of the, the Eisenhower Bridge of Valor. So carrying on the name.
She's in New York, and
Okay.
and her schedule is fluid, of course.
Sure.
So if we can entice her, I think that would be good, or another family.
Okay, that sounds good. We'll keep you in the loop on that for sure. We'll talk a little bit more with Mike MnDOT and get this kind of rolling. And we'll keep you posted as well, Patty, for helping us kind of get the word out. And yep. All right. I think we are on again next month, October 1st on Tuesday for our next update. And we'll just kind of keep them going here all the way through. We got a lot of good working weather and hope to be real close.
Stays that way.
Yeah, stays this way, and we'll have a real good idea on where we're at with the project and the deck pours and so forth. So, all right, thank you for coming.